Okay, guys. Dimo, before your trip to Kaunas, you warned your teammates to enjoy the sunshine for one last time because there's no sun in Kaunas. Actually, there was sun. There was sun yesterday. It was pretty shiny, but I would say that clouds settled in the gym. So, Monaco Bigs, Chima Moneke, and Domantas Motiejunas on the EuroBONUS podcast. Is great to have you here.
Pleasure.
We will have to go through some topics quickly because we're out of time, but thanks a lot for you because I know that you're on a tight schedule, so it was not easy to set up this conversation. But again, you were the hottest team in the EuroLeague before this game. In Kaunas, you were on a 5-game winning streak. But since you've lost, let's give some credit to those teams who are fighting for the 8th seed in the playoff race.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's amazing. Žalgiris did a great job yesterday, even though their game was not as fluent. I can see a little bit tension because they know how important every game for them is. So they were not playing, I would say, as free as they used to. And for sure, the basketball was not the cleanest from their side. I mean, I'm not even talking about our side, but their side was not very clean basketball. But on the end, they did what they needed to do. They got the win, and their chances are growing with every game. So.
We have this open race for the 8th seed. Let's say we exclude Partizan and Maccabi. Let's say they're competing for the center 6th seed. Yeah, so we basically have Žalgiris, Baskonia, and Efes. Žalgiris, Baskonia, they have 16 wins, Efes 15, and if those teams has the same record, Baskonia has an advantage, head-to-head advantage. Yeah. How would you rank those 3 teams in the remaining of the regular season? Who do you see on top?
Yeah, so it's funny, we were having this conversation on the bus yesterday, because we're all big EuroLeague fans, basketball fans, and personally I picked Baskonia to be that last team, but with 3-4 games left, who knows what could happen. Žalgiris, the fans here are incredible. Obviously, all 3 of those teams have great fan bases, but I was just here so I can speak to that. And obviously, any team can be beat, especially this time of the year. So, but personally, I do have Baskonia.
Why Baskonia? What's your main argument?
Seeing how they play, it's tough for a lot of teams to keep up with them. And I feel like the matchups that they have, they can outscore those teams, and if they have the advantage, that's what they need to do.
And you for sure will go with the Žalgiris, right?
I will go with the Žalgiris, but again, it really depends on the schedule.
It's team's reaction.
No, I mean, it's my hometown
You
team.
Probably hear a lot about Žalgiris on those bus trips.
Yeah, he's tired of it.
No. Incredible fan bases. Lithuanian people are incredible. I love it, but I'm picking Baskonia.
No, the thing is, like you said, the most important thing that Baskonia is keeping head-to-head advantage on those 2 teams. This is very important, and
because it means that Žalgiris or Efes, they have to have one more win than Baskonia. It's not easy.
I mean, but then I think Baskonia have 2 out of 3 last games on the road. I'm
no, actually, they play Fener at home, Asvel at home, and Olympiacos away.
So if they lose 2 out of those 3 and Žalgiris win all of them.
Yeah, because actually Žalgiris is having a third easiest schedule. Valencia at home, Maccabi at home, and Bayern away. Efes, they have Virtus home, Fenerbahce away, and Monaco at home at the last game of the regular season.
My thing, at this point in the season, nothing is easy.
Yeah.
Nothing is true. Nothing is going to go as it's supposed to go. So.
Yeah, anyone can win actually, and that's the thing. The teams that fight for their lives, and team like us coming, that we clinched the playoff spot, even though we are fighting for trying to fight for a home court advantage. We're not on that, win or die type of mentality, which reflect yesterday, on the game, and so it's definitely. I think it's going to be some surprising scores in different arenas, but. I'm honestly, to be fair to all the teams, I'm extremely happy that Žalgiris are in that playoff contending situation. Looking at last year, they were one of the last teams. I think maybe dead last. Dead last. So from that to change, by changing players, changing coaches, jump into the playoff contending type of situation, I think it's a huge win for a club as Žalgiris. With the budget that Žalgiris have.
What is also cool about teams that improved is that like we're taking Monaco's success for granted. Last year it was a roller coaster trip, I would say. You were like 14, 15 seed at one point of the season. Sasha came in and he improved the picture. You made the playoffs. You were one game away from the Final Four. And this year you were really consistent. You clinched the playoff berth pretty quickly. You're also fighting for the home court advantage. You're actually still in the race for the first seed. But what's interesting right now, and especially what everybody was talking about, Mike James' suspension. And I have one question with this particular situation, because after yesterday's game, I talked with many basketball people who said that Mike didn't look like himself. His game, the level of his aggressiveness, his body language, and it doesn't mean body language. It doesn't mean he did anything wrong, but it felt like he was not himself. And I was just intrigued as you as the teammates, having him back after what happened. How do you try to accept him back to the crew, to the pack?
Well, I think
what it takes, to bring him back, because you need him as your leading scorer, and if he's there on your team, you still have to adjust somehow.
Yeah, it's a shock. Obviously, it's a shock for a team when they took him out, and then when they bring him back. It's a shock for a style that we play for everything. And so to expect that we're going to clink right away, start playing the same level of basketball that we played before his suspension, it's a little bit naive, And so it's going to take time, again, us to rethink, reset as a players, to have a trust, have this, have that, And, from Mike's side, you can see that Mike is trying to, after the suspension, maybe... he's trying to also adapt to the team, which I think, we all were playing kind of his type of basketball, and now he's trying to adapt to the team the way we played without him. Which is, I think, that's where, there's a problem a little bit, where, he's different type of basketball player when he plays isolation, and then when he tried to play for a team, it's not as aggressive, then it's not... I would say not as much used, so it's not really why I think the coach was pushing to sign Mike in the beginning with.
Yeah, because even watching the game yesterday, it felt like in some situations he was just overpassing. In situations where he was about to take a shot in, let's say, first part of the season, now it felt like he was overpassing, and maybe that's the part of the adjustment he's trying to make. And I'm not sure if it's good or for good or bad for team's perspective.
That's what I'm saying. So this is the thing. What I said when they took him out, we readjust in very quick time to play as a team, to move the ball. We broke our season assist, EuroLeague assist. In the French league, we also had like consistently 20 assists. So he saw the way we played. He watched every game. Of course, he supported the team. And then suddenly, he comes back. He wants to, to be a part of it, to add it up. But then, like, the whole group has to adapt and change. And then, there's just like I said, it's a process from my side. At least that's what I see.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway is like the human aspect of it, the mental side of it. Being the top scorer, being, potentially first or second team all EuroLeague. The suspension happens, we win every game, and then he has to come back and he's questioning himself. And, I feel bad for him.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Off the court, people are saying terrible stuff and blaming him unfairly, and I don't like that. So, he's coming into the game and he doesn't want to be the reason for us, not winning games, because we won every game without him. So he is overpassing, and I told him that. But the most important thing is I told him, don't blame yourself. Don't blame yourself, because it's a difficult situation for any human being to go through, to, be the most important player on the team and then be out for 2 weeks, and then you feel, just overthink everything. So
you don't have a rhythm, you don't have nothing.
You don't have a rhythm,
Again, it was not like he was allowed to practice with the team or anything. So he was separated from the team. So he doesn't have a game rhythm. This is the second game. We didn't really have a practice with him.
We were gone
one
for
practice.
Yeah.
So, you can do by yourself whatever you want. You're not gonna, you're gonna lose the game rhythm this quick, and then it's really difficult to gain the confidence, the rhythm, and especially in the same time, he's trying to adjust to the team that we were playing different without him than with him, So there's a lot of figuring out going on, and like I said, I hope is for the good, but it's also very difficult to think about it, that it can be also for a bad. So we will see what's going to happen. We will see how we're going to maneuver it out. Honestly, this is more coach's job than anyone else to do this type of things.
Yeah, we're a few weeks away from the playoffs, so let's hope he will figure it out for the team's good.
Yeah.
I have some video to show to you. I'm not sure if you are aware of Tornike Shengelia exchange with Maccabi fans.
I heard. I didn't saw it.
But just today, our colleague shared some great video that I will show it to you. Just a second. Okay, I can put sound, no problem. So we're just watching many Maccabi fans aggressively approaching Tornike Shengelia. There's an exchange, and actually he tries to jump into the stands to talk about things, probably, not to kick some asses.
No, never.
But you see, they're happy to provocate it like that.
That's true. And I don't want you to trigger Maccabi fans because you might face them in the playoffs. But I have a different question. Could you recall your most unsafe experiences in Europe during game, post game? And do you feel protected enough as basketball players playing in Europe?
So
I
haven't played in Serbia or Greece or Turkey, and I know it's a different level there. Israel. I've had some situations where words were said or racist epithets were said, but it never got to the point where I was afraid for my safety because it was from a distance. But I've seen a lot of things like that happen, unfortunately, and I think most of it is as a fan, sometimes you want to get attention, and whether your team is losing or your team is winning, you're trying to celebrate. A lot of things is attention. You see this happens and then everyone pulls out their phone because people are going to talk about it. And that's the unfortunate part about it. But for me personally, I've never had anything that, I ever felt unsafe about. But I see it too often, and fans have to, do things for the right reasons and, celebrate your team when they're winning, but don't try to take somebody down because they're in a bad mood because of their losing, and, that just knocked them out of the playoffs. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I do love playing in Europe overall, but yeah, that needs to be addressed.
From my side, I think the fans are, all the fans are amazing. Every team has a very passionate fans. The problem is, I think, I've been in the States, I've been in a couple of, I can compare a little bit with the UFC events. And I've seen, every event I went to, there's a fight going on in the stands. I'm not talking about in an octagon, someone breaks down. And I can compare this with the basketball because it's the same thing, you're a fan, the basketball brings you emotions, big emotions. And there's that thin line between emotions and start to, like you said, racial abuse, humiliating opposite team players, which I think that line should never be crossed. NBA deal with it, a little bit different way. You do something like this, you're banned for life, You're not coming back to NBA ever. So and there's no discussion, no jokes, no nothing. There's a cameras in the arena. You can track everyone like this if you want to. And so for me, that line should never be crossed. Like Chima said, you can support your team, you can express your feelings, everything. But some of the fans, couple of beers in, they lose their minds and start to insult you personally, your family, which is, me personally, I think should never be touched. Those guys after a game, they go home to their families, they go to work. For us, that's the work. And then if you insult my family at my workplace, and it's allowed, and no one's doing nothing about it, that's a problem. That's a big problem. I mean, I'm happy that there's not too many incidents like this. Like in a football, I don't know if you're familiar, in European football, there was 5-6 years ago, there was a huge scandal through everywhere, Russia, everywhere, that it was nonstop racial abuse of the players. And I'm I really don't understand why it's this common. The basketball less, like I said, this incident is maybe one of the rare ones, that...
and at least nothing has happened, there was just some exchange.
Of course, but you can see also fans, they're so hyped, they're so feeling it. You can see they're laughing, they're enjoying it. That they get the player out of his rhythm. Calm place, rhythm. Out of his mind. But then, like, I'm pretty sure that the words that were said are not the right ones, you know. And this is the sad part.
And I agree with that. And I think an important thing about that is that fans sometimes forget that players are humans.
Yeah.
And then they just say, okay, you're supposed to be playing a basketball game, so you're supposed to focus on that and, you know, leave out all the distractions. I'm trying to get in your head, but you're not supposed to let that happen. Then the part that escalates it or takes it to another level is when they go on your social media. And that's where I've got the most, you know, hate, death threats. Like last year, you know, the way I played in Manresa, I was very expressive and jovial, and a lot of people hated that. And probably after every other game, I would say, on the road, I would get someone calling me a N-word or a monkey or telling me I'm a hijo de puta, like a lot of
yeah, we know,
so like,
we know all the bad words.
Yeah, I learned all of that. But I've learned to deal with it better now, but I know a lot of players struggle with that, you know, struggle with opinions of others. So fans need to be very mindful of that.
I had a situation also like with the death threats. I think.
I mean, even I get death threats, so it's just incredible.
You probably get for as soon as you do something interesting, some interview like more.
Or
like
you write something
topic.
about some teams with big fan bases. I mean, you're done on Twitter, really.
Yeah, because like for me, I think Golden State had 2 championships, and then they had a first round game against us, and we were running back for fast break. James Harden cut behind my back, coming back to the defense, and you know, my jersey was all wet. I slide, and then that's when the Steph Curry injured his knee. And so they're like, "Oh, you messed it up our three-peat chances and stuff like that." Like I receive a lot of things, but I just try not to react because, like, you know. But again, we're coming to the same point that you know, we're all humans, you know, and our job is not an easy job too. We have to perform. Honestly, there was a situation last night too that you know, different player could react differently. I think Jordan Lloyd was. After a foul or something, went under the basket, and one of the fans jumped, and in his face started clapping.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know if you saw that, but
No, I didn't. I missed that.
We talked a little bit yesterday over the dinner. We said like, okay, you know, it's fans, it's emotions, it's this and that, but like, different guy can react differently to that situation.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, someone is clapping at your face like this from the fans, like, you know, it's okay. Someone's gonna take it as a fuel. Someone can take it as a, you know, personal insult. So again, you know, these type of stations, you're sitting at a first row, you shouldn't be doing that. And also with the Partizan, I watched the game against Barcelona. First row fans are jumping up, like almost like running to the court, you know. Okay, you know, they're amazing fans and this and that, but I think for first rows, there has to be some rules, you know, that they cannot interfere, they cannot, you know.
There are some rules to fans that are sitting next to team benches, but it's like 4 people on both sides.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So that's not a, you know. But like I said, I saw in the game that I think ref made some interesting calls, and you know, the fans from the front seats, they jumped like, and they were almost in the court, you know, and you know, that's where the fans put a big pressure on the referees, and then
They can change the game.
exactly
Like
2 calls can change the game, any game. So I mean, you know, referee job like is not easy.
We're talking about death threats, and
for sure.
I believe that these refs, they have a hell of a job.
Oh,
really.
in Europe,
and
for sure.
It's so weird because fans, by trying to be aggressive with refs, they might affect them in a negative way, that they can start, you know, making some bad calls actually because of that.
All the time
It happens all the time. And I personally say to refs, I know it's hard, I don't want you to make a crowd call. That's what I call it, a crowd call. Just because they've been whistling you, because you've made certain calls that they didn't like, because, you know, it was against their team. Don't make a crowd call just to get them off you for a few seconds, because if they lose this game no matter what, they will be coming for you. And that's how it goes. Just don't make a crowd call to make them feel better.
Yes, that's why, you know, those big fan base teams, they're exploring, I would say, when they put a pressure on the referees, they do it constantly, you know, and it's Maccabi, Partizan, Zvezda, you know, all those big gyms, even Kaunas. You know, when the whole gym is booing you, and like Chima said, you know, start cursing at you,
Referees are humans.
Humans too, yeah, exactly. The pressure gets to them, you know.
I always put the same example. Like, imagine if you're working in an office, just sitting under, next to your table, doing some stuff, and you have some random people shouting at you, humiliating your family and stuff. I mean, I wish those fans who do that, who act like that, to be in that situation and how they would feel about it. I mean, I know it's basketball, I know it's sports, it's all about the passion, but I mean, everybody should stay respectful to each other.
Like I said, there's a thin line that shouldn't be crossed. Yeah. Like, it shouldn't be crossed. Like, for me, like, you're a fan. You enjoy basketball. Whatever, you had two, 3 beers, having fun. Everyone. That's why we're there, to entertain everyone. To show the best of our preparation, the best of our talents. And so, like I said, the respect has to be there too.
Since we're very short of time, let's go quickly through BasketNews.com Plus members that you can actually become on BasketNews.com/plus. We have some great offers right now, and they had this opportunity to ask you personally some of these questions, so we will try to go quickly through them. And there was an interesting question by Tudor Mintsu. Wow, guys, great podcast guests. My questions, I will include just a couple of them. If you could steal one ability or skill from one of your teammates or other EuroLeague player, what would you choose and why? Let's start from. Let's go with teammates maybe.
For me it's easy. Donta's whole jumping, man. That's something. Hey, it's ridiculous. He's ridiculous. I've never seen nothing like this.
Yeah,
that's true.
Definitely.
I mean,
he's flying.
It's not only that he's flying, how he managed to control his body is something unreal. Like, some of the dunks, some of the even shots that he makes, I'm like, how the hell? Yeah, it's the blocks. Some of the blocks are like outrageous. Like, I was at one of the games. I don't know who we play, Olympiacos or someone. I don't remember who, but he shot a ball. The ball was like by the top of the backboard.
That was against Maccabi. I remember that. I got the rebound. I asked him, was that a goaltend? He said, no, bro, I got it. Perfect timing. Please find the video and play that right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. It was in the fourth quarter.
I was sitting there. I saw the ball like almost touching the top of the board. And he got it. I was like, this cannot be real. Like,
I got the rebound. I remember that. I would say the confidence of Mike James or Ellie. I think confidence is very important. And, me coming into a top 4 team, middle of the season, I'm trying not to, step out of line, and I'm trying to help the team as much as possible. I know on this team, especially in EuroLeague games, I don't need to score. I don't have plays run for me. So to have their confidence and to know that, I can do this is incredible. And with time, that'll come for me. But yeah, I salute them for that.
Ionut Georgescu, can you share the best pitch ever presented to you by a club that really wanted to show you how much they want you there?
In Europe or in general?
In general.
My college coach, the first Division I offer that I received, he said, if you like good weather, good place to live, and beautiful girls, you got to come here. And I signed there, so it worked.
For me, probably, even though it was a very long time ago, Mr. Giardini, the GM of the
Benetton, former GM of Benetton.
Former GM of Benetton, yeah. He came and, he convinced my parents, which is, right now it's maybe easier, but at that time I was 18 years old kid, and he convinced my parents to instead of leave me here and work with the Žalgiris system, to go to Italy and play for Benetton and be in their youth system that grow up many talents. And he pretty much promised my parents and myself that, it's going to be like a family over there. And it definitely was. And till today, whenever I meet him, I try to thank him for the opportunity. Because in that time, Žalgiris was struggling big time. And like I said, Benetton had the whole system set up for me to grow. And it was one of the best choices I could do, probably.
Yeah, and just very, very last question by Audrius. As a fellow big from Lithuania with equally amazing passing capabilities, how would you approach the situation of Domantas Sabonis in the national team? And I think that Chima also could add about what he saw about Domas, and especially, since Kings are on the pace to set historically efficient offense. in the NBA history. What did you take from that experience? How did they set this up? What can you actually translate to European basketball for your team from Monaco?
Man, I would say, the 7-8 guys the 8 guys that they really play, they use, their abilities to the best. Really, the starters, they know how to play together. I think the starters have played the most minutes together in the whole NBA, and Domas is a big, part of that. I saw a stat yesterday that he leads the NBA in dribble handoffs, and like, people don't understand how like important it is for everyone to touch the ball in every possession. And they really move the ball, and like he brings the ball up sometimes, catches the ball in the elbow, and he makes plays. He's probably the most unselfish big I've ever played with, the best rebounding big I've ever played with. Like, he's just incredible. He loves to learn. He loves to help people. Like, he's talking on the bench. He's talking after games, and he's listening. Man, like I couldn't say enough good things about him. He helped me just watching him, seeing how he is as a pro, as a person, as a leader, like, incredible. And, they officially just clinched the playoffs last night. And, like, I feel, proud to be a small part of that. But, Domas, yeah, as long as he's there, they can keep going to the playoffs.
Yeah. The problem is that we cannot make Domas so efficient in the national team in FIBA basketball like he is in the NBA. So we need advice from Dimo, how to make him our Jokic.
Like I would say he's more like he has a lot of similarities like his father, who could create, who can move the ball. And I think that a lot of offense should be run through him instead of like trying to get him the ball, just naturally make it in the flow, which, more or less that's how I was used in Houston, and that's what, I also was struggling years in European championships with the national team, because it was like in a national team is very strategic, more, okay, you have to pass the ball here, this is a post-up for you, this is a 3-point for you, which in an NBA is more like fluid basketball. At least that's how they play. Sacramento is playing, that's how I was playing, where, like, okay, we move the ball, we see opportunity to attack, that's where we're going to attack. We're not going to, attack with the first pick or second pick. Maybe the third pick is going to be the one to open. Let's move the defense from side to side and see what happens, So I think that just put him almost as a point guard in the offense and run through him the offense should work very well,
I agree. Okay, guys, it was a hell of a conversation. It's sad that it was so short because we ran out of time. We have to go to Munich to continue your journey. So thanks a lot for this, and I hope to see you in Kaunas in 2 months.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We can do part 2 in a month and a half.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
I love the confidence, I love the golf. Appreciate it.